Welcome to the Miracles Happen Fertility podcast, where it's all about using the power of your mind to create hope, health, and miracles on your fertility journey. And now your host, a dash of science and a heap of spirit, Dr. Maria Rothenberger.
Hey there, it's Dr. Maria Rothenberger, your host for the Miracles Happen Fertility podcast. Welcome to episode 114. It is June 3rd, 2021, and it is officially Pride Month, woohoo, in the U.S. So we'll be doing some social media posts and some celebrating along with the community. And I just learned, sadly, that the Portland Pride Parade will not happen in person again this year. Wah, 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 wah. But there will be some live online viewing that I will be taking part of, and maybe even do a quick little Instagram/Facebook live video thing. I don't know. Who knows what's going to happen? I just roll with it. I trust that the opportunities that arise are the ones that I need to take if it feels right to me. And that is exactly what we're going to be talking about today. Look at that. Look what I did there. A little segue. Today's episode. I've been burned so much. How do I even learn to trust again? So it's an excellent question brought to you by one of my favorite clients. She's phenomenal. Love you for this question and just love you in general. So thank you for sending this question to me, because I know that you are not the only one struggling with this. So, in fact, I did myself. So what I'd like to do today is, after some announcements as usual, I'm going to be doing a reading from Transcending Infertility, because I addressed it in the book. And the chapter, in fact, is called Trust Yourself. And we're going to get into why it's entitled that in just a second, because I think it creates a shift of sorts when you are learning to trust again. And truth be told, this process, this journey of fertility stuff is harrowing, and you get burned and you get hurt, and like all these things are aligned, and this was right, and this was right, and this was right. Why didn't this cycle work? Or this was right, this was right, this was right. I got pregnant and then I wasn't pregnant. Like, what? WTF? What's going on here? That's freaking hard. Beyond hard. Like, no words kind of hard. And how do you bounce back from that? How do you learn to trust again? We're going to be talking about that. Okay, so before that, though, of course, let's get into some brief announcements. I've been saying this the last few episodes, or the episodes in the last couple of months or so, that I will be doing a Spirit Baby Foundations training in August, in a few months now. Woohoo! But I'm probably going to do a free webinar before that, so that you can get a taste of what's happening in that whole 8-week training. So if you have not gotten on my email list, please do so, because you're going to be getting updates about that. And I'll be posting on social media, but you're far more likely to see that and be reminded of it in your email box. So go to drmariarothenberger.com and just scroll down a bit. You'll see where you can get on my newsletter. I do not spam folks, believe me. And if you find that I'm spammy or you just don't like the content, just unsubscribe. Really, no hard feelings at all. It just is what it is. You need to find what resonates with you. And that is a huge part of trusting again. So get on my newsletter if it feels right to you, and I will be sending a whole bunch of information on Spirit Baby Foundations training. Cannot wait to do that. It is 8 weeks of really creating a foundation for connecting to your own spirit baby, and if you wish, others' spirit babies, and maybe even other entities like ancestors and spirit guides. In fact, we're going to be working on just that. We're going to be working on expanding your awareness and your consciousness so that you are able to connect to your own spirit guide. That is a huge component of learning to trust again. I did not write about that in Transcending Infertility because I left a lot of this other spiritual stuff out of that, because I feel like that's a whole other book. I did talk a lot about quantum physics and that kind of spiritual stuff, but I didn't talk about spirit baby and spirit guides and oracles and crystals and all that good stuff, because I feel like that's a whole other book, which might be in the works. Who knows? Okay, so that is happening. What else? For June, Father's Day, of course. So I will be thinking about those who have lost fathers, who are still struggling to become a father, who want to be a father again. Just all the feels for everyone still struggling there, and hoping that you can find some kind of joy in Father's Day if you're able to do so. If nothing related to Father's Day, that is perfect. You do what you need to do to take care of you. Okay, lastly, my family and I are going on epic-ish adventures in our own, quote, backyard for camping this summer. We are going all over Oregon, USA. If you happen to live in this area or happen to be visiting this area, shoot me a line, send me an email, shoot me a text, let me know where you are, where you're going to be. I really would love to connect. So again, go to my website. You'll find a contact me page there. You'll find my phone number there. Actually, you can even text me, and I will get back to you within 48 hours or so is usually my time span here, especially during the week. All right, so let's get into this trusting thing. So the question that came through was this. She said, something that came up after our session last night was the importance of trust, and it's something I struggle with, especially after everything I've been through. Any tips or thoughts on it would be greatly appreciated. That would make a great podcast topic. You are so right. Therefore, podcast topic. So, I really encourage you to consider this notion of trust, okay? Because when we traditionally think of trusting, we're thinking about creating trust for things that are outside of us. So I'm trusting that so-and-so is going to show up. I'm trusting that when so-and-so says they're going to text me, they're going to text me. I'm trusting that when I ask my coworker to get this project done along with me, that they're going to follow through on what they say they're going to do. I'm trusting that my docs know what they're talking about. I'm trusting that my nurse knows what they're talking about. I'm trusting that this treatment is exactly what I need. And when you think about trusting from that perspective, it is exceedingly anxiety provoking. You know why? Because you have absolutely zero control over what anybody outside of you does. You have no control. And I talk a lot about manifesting, and that means that you create your reality. That means that the energy that you put out into the energy field makes its way back to you, is what I'm trying to say. I was like, what are the right words for that? The energy is reflected back at you. And that's how manifesting works. That's a very simple explanation. But when you are attempting to manifest anything, it's not just you that's involved. I even talk about this with Spirit Baby clients that, it's not, you're the one with me right now. However, if you have a partner, they are involved as well. If you have children that are earthside already, they are involved. The Spirit Baby is involved too. Like everybody has free will here. Everybody has choice. So you can absolutely have your sights set on a particular goal. The way to manifest well is to always have the idea behind your manifesting work that anything that comes to fruition is for the highest good for everyone involved. And that's why when you are manifesting the thing that you're looking to have, it's more like the feeling that you're looking to have, because the thing doesn't matter as much as the feeling, the state of existence that you experience, the state of joy, the state of peace, the state of contentment. That is how the universe speaks. We're talking about the emotion here. So when you tune into that, then what it actually looks like doesn't matter at all. And when you say to the universe that you are asking for, this emotional state, this mental state to experience for the highest good of all involved, that opens up avenues everywhere. The universe goes, oh, good, I have all these opportunities. It doesn't have to look like blah, 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 blah. I have all these opportunities. I can make it look like how it needs to look for that emotional state, but it can be various things. I hope that's making sense. So when we talk about trust, it really is that you need to turn inward. So I'm asking you to change your perspective here. Instead of trusting that everybody else is going to do what they said they're going to do or what they say they can do, turning inward is exceedingly important, because what happens when you do that is that you can sense inside whether or not the practitioner that you're working with, whether or not the partner that you're working with, whether or not a certain treatment, whether or not all of that is right for you, whether or not all of that leads to your ultimate manifestation goal. Okay? Now, this is scary, all right? It really is, because you're letting go and you're tuning into a different dimension here where everything, quote, on paper looks amazing and you have a gut feeling about it or an intuitive sensation about it. It's really important to listen to your intuition. And, pull in your logic. That's very important too. We need to have a balance between the two. But just because something looks great on paper does not mean it is the right thing for you. Okay, so in this episode, the main idea is to begin thinking about trust from within and not from without, so that you can just at the very least begin to reduce anxiety about trust, that you can begin to reduce anxiety about letting go. Okay, so I want to read for you from Transcending Infertility, and this chapter is called Trust Yourself. The quote at the beginning of the chapter is, "No problem can be solved from the same level of consciousness that created it." And that is said by Albert Einstein, which is, it's totally true, right? Like if I am in a depressed state, I am not going to be able to heal with being in that same depressed state. I have to change something up. Okay. By the way, you can get this book from my website, drmariarothenberger.com, or on Amazon. If you order from my website, I always send you a little handwritten note and my official signature in there. So you have that in your coffee. Okay. That's how the chapter starts. And by the way, for my beautiful client, Caitlin, reread chapter 7, my dear. Reread chapter 7. You are so much more powerful than you give yourself credit for. Did you know that? Did you know that all your answers lie in wait, eagerly looking forward to the moment when you notice them? Did you know there's a part of you that offers compassion, love, and an all-knowing essence, such that you need only state your question and an answer instantly appears? Did you know you have access to this part of you at any time, in any place, and in any state of mind you wish? It always waits for you. Listening to you and guiding you are its only purpose. I'm writing this chapter because infertility strips away our ability to remember all of the above. We used to live in a world where we got to decide what happened to us. We got to research that which we didn't know and move forward with our newfound knowledge. Infertility doesn't care about that. You can know all the secrets of the universe and put them into practice, and infertility will say, so? Your cycle is still failing. And yet, when you access the part of yourself that already knows all the information you so vehemently seek on Dr. Google, you have an inner knowing, an inner calm, an inner trust that all will be well. When you listen to the part of yourself that actually has the answers, instead of some external source that claims to know all, a sense of peace washes over you, and you know that all is and will be well, regardless of the outcome of your efforts. In those moments when you can't access that inner calm, and those moments will arise, as we'll see in the next chapter, you'll still be able to redirect yourself to the awareness that calm is on its way again. It is never far from you. It is, in fact, you in the purest sense of the word. It's not your body, this mass of oxygen, carbon, hydrogen, and all the other elements that make up our physical selves. Your body is just a representation of your life on this planet. When I talk about trusting yourself, I mean your greater self, the part that comes from Source, God, Yahweh, nature, whatever you wish to call it. Even atheists have a sense that there is a part of them that is a guidance system. Like, that dark dead-end alley doesn't look safe. I think I'll turn around now. Or, there's just something about that person I really like. I don't know what it is, but I feel like I've known them my whole life. That part of you just knows. That is the part I'm speaking of now. This chapter is about how I took back the control that infertility had taken from me by paying attention to my own inner awareness of a practical and efficient guidance system that was always and still is ready for me at a moment's notice. Spoiler alert, you have access to the same system. Ready to find out how? Let's go. Okay, so at this point, I continue with my story, my personal fertility story, and I'm going to cut that out in the interest of time. But obviously, you can go check it out in Transcending Infertility. So I'm going to jump to the part of the chapter where I talk about the fertility key, because Transcending Infertility is 9 keys for Transcending Infertility. And this fertility key is, trust yourself. Wow, who would have guessed? All right, so this is how it goes. Have you ever had that thing where you think of someone, then they send you a text? Before caller ID, you would have been able to pick up the ringing phone and say, "Hi, Bill. Yeah, for some reason I knew it was you." Perhaps someone has made that comment when you called or texted them. "Oh my God, I was just thinking of you." What about that phrase, "trust your gut"? You've heard that before, right? It's that feeling that makes you think twice before walking down a dark alley at night. It's more than just thinking, "Hey, it's dark, I'm alone, and that's a possibly unsafe alley. Don't walk there." It's a literal sensation in your body that tells you that walking down the alley is a bad idea. In both of these examples, you trust yourself, don't you? You know that what your body is telling you is true. But what happens when you have a gut feeling about something that is the complete opposite of what you think should happen? What happens when everyone around you is telling you something that your body tells you is not right for you? My doctor pressed me hard to continue treatments. He had many studies and reasoned very well that I could possibly conceive and carry to term under his care. Years prior, I would have been sucked right in despite the discomfort. I may have even shrugged off the sensations as nerves, jitters, or cold feet. But this time, I paid attention to my inner guide. As scary as that was, I knew that I could trust it now. This fertility key is to help you begin to trust yourself again, too. Everyone is born with the ability to intuit. It's a way to keep us safe, to keep us on the right path for us. Sure, others may benefit from that new fad diet or amazing new exercise machine or that just new on the market fertility treatment that comes with a set of Ginsu knives. But will you? Nobody in the world can tell you what will work for you, regardless of the research, what worked for others, or what statistics are in your favor. You know why? Because you are the boss of you. Only you get to guide yourself toward your ultimate goals. Knowing that you can trust your intuition, your instinct, is quite scary at first. After all, you've likely been used to reasoning, logic, statistics, professional opinions, and Dr. Google to make, quote, informed decisions. And yes, this type of reasoning is quite useful. There's nothing wrong with looking at data. The problem comes when we listen to all this reasoning, our bodies and intuition still emit something isn't quite right signals, and we ignore said signals. In this fertility key, I'm asking you to get out of your head and into your intuition. What's the difference, you ask? Excellent question. If you're like me, you just want to know stuff, don't you? You want to know next steps, know whether to pursue a treatment, know whether to attend a party or not, or know what kind of exercise or food is right for you. When I talk about knowing in this chapter, I mean the idea of an immediate knowing. This is the kind of knowing that does not require the typical pros and cons lists, Excel spreadsheets, and hours of research. Reason and intellect are useful, of course, but when we balance them out with knowing from a higher space, we become even more productive and efficient. Here's a metaphor for you. Imagine you're standing in front of a giant wall. It's as tall as you can see up and as wide as you can see on either side of you. You have to get to the other side. Infertility feels just like this, doesn't it? Using your reason and logic, you may surmise many things. Perhaps you decide the wall is too large, so you simply give up and turn around. Maybe you decide you can scale it, so you go about the task of gathering the necessary tools and supplies. You could also decide to keep walking, either left or right, hoping for an opening somewhere. Or perhaps there's a way to dig underneath. All of these are reasonable pursuits, but it's incredibly difficult to know which one to move toward. Now, imagine that you're able to float above the wall. From this vantage point, you're able to see where you are, where the wall is, and what's beyond the wall. This is like intuition, because you're now so high off the ground, you're also able to see an efficient way to get to the other side. Using all your resources, logic, reason, and intuition, you're able to devise a plan that's the best for you. What would your fertility journey be like if you were able to access your intuition? What would be different for you? How much stress relief would you have if you instantly knew what to do next? You have all the resources within you to access this knowing. We all do. And when you begin to become aware of, cultivate, and practice using your intuition, you'll begin to realize that you can trust yourself at all times. The next section is called pineal gland. Located behind the middle of the forehead, about 2/3 of the way toward the back of the brain, and above the brainstem is a tiny pine cone-shaped structure called the pineal gland. It is the structure responsible for balancing the circadian rhythm in the body by producing melatonin, a hormone necessary for quieting the body and brain for sleep. The pineal is also often referred to as the third eye. Ancient Hindu teachings link the sixth chakra to the pineal gland, which is the way to access higher, quote, seeing or knowing. Interestingly, the chamber the pineal gland sits in is lined with structures called pinealocytes, which are similar to the rods and cones in the retina of the eye and are wired to the visual cortex of the brain, just as the eyes are. So pinealocytes are quite literally a third eye. I mention this gland here because many ancient wisdom and mystical teachings discuss the activation of the pineal gland as a beautiful way to intuition and wisdom. Activating this gland is like the metaphor of floating above the infertility wall and seeing your path to the other side. You'll practice activating this gland with the meditation assigned for this chapter. Side note here, if you purchase Transcending Infertility, you get every single meditation in this book for free. The website's in the book, and you are welcome to them. So including this activation of the pineal gland, you will get all the other meditations. The next section is about heart math. And I'm going to avoid reading that today because my podcast has a lot of information on heart math. I suggest that you go back to previous episodes. You can go to my website, drmariarothenberger.com, and search for heart math. It's another beautiful way to begin activating your intuition. And I will also today be talking about a skill that you can use anyway. And I know that I've talked about that before on my podcast as well, but I will be talking about it now today to begin accessing your intuition and therefore trust yourself. The last section here in this part of the book, in this fertility key, is called Loving Your Body. I'm taking a moment here to acknowledge something inherently difficult when dealing with fertility issues: being okay with your body. Even if you've never struggled with body image issues, fertility issues can bring up a whole host of body judgments, especially when your body is the source of the problem. Accessing your intuition can feel quite scary because I'm asking you to pay close attention to your body sensations. This is a skill you've gotten quite good at while trying to conceive, perhaps not in a pleasant way. Every flutter, ache, tingle, pain, craving, mood change, headache, or other bodily sensation is accounted for. You notice the smallest detail of every moment in your body when trying to conceive, and when things don't work out well, noticing details can become quite upsetting. The problem is we tend to decipher each signal as one problem or another, get on Dr. Google to research it, and continue to have angst because of the overwhelming amount of inconclusive information out there. Then we're right back to not trusting ourselves. When a cycle doesn't work out, or our bodies don't respond to intervention like we'd hoped, we tend to be very hard on our bodies. We note the ways in which we hate them and can't stand being in them. If this resonates, I'm with you, and I'm sending you loads of loving kindness right this very moment. This chapter's fertility mantra is geared toward healing your body image and loving your body, and the action steps are designed to help you develop your intuition and begin trusting your body again, as well as your higher self. I suspect that you've already had a great deal of practice with this if you've had to deal with fertility issues, but even if you're starting from the beginning, approach it with a fun and curious attitude. And as always, seek the help of a professional if this becomes overwhelming to handle on your own. Okay, so the next section in this chapter is the action steps, and every chapter has a fertility key and action steps. So here's what you need to learn from this chapter, and here are the ways to do it. And I highly recommend doing them. Okay, says the author. All right, so the action steps here are about accessing intuition. This is really getting into trusting yourself. Hold on, just getting a sip of LaCroix here. Hold on. Okay. By now, you've been through several weeks of meditation. That's for readers of the book, which means you're getting good at getting silent. Getting silent is probably one of the most important baseline skills for accessing your intuition, since the quiet is what helps us tune in to what our intuition is actually saying. I have a sign in my office now that says the quieter you are, the more you hear. This is true with all relationships and is great for improving communication, but in this context, I'm referring to listening to yourself. Accessing your intuition is like tuning into your greater, wiser self, the part of you that has a bird's eye view of your life and can help guide you like a chess player moving pieces along a board. This is why meditation is so important in this program. Way back in the first chapter, I wrote that the internet told me to pray a lot. Hindsight tells me I needed to meditate a lot. Have you heard the saying, prayer is like talking to God, meditating is like listening for the answer? Accessing intuition is listening for the answer from your own source of wisdom. As mentioned in this chapter's Fertility Key section, knowing via intuition is instantaneous. There's no brain chatter to deal with, making this the quickest way to have an answer for any problem you may be dealing with on your journey. The exercises below are designed to help you learn what basic intuition feels like. Then we move to strengthening intuition and finally to a meditation to activate the pineal gland and access intuition from a deeper state. Exercise 1. Get familiar with your intuition. This is a deceptively simple practice for beginning to learn what your internal guidance system feels like. Okay, I'm going to stop reading here. And I'm just going to tell you what these exercises are, okay? So this first exercise, very simple. You close your eyes. If you can right now, close your eyes. And I want you to feel into your body and just notice Notice how your shoulders are. Notice how your hips are. Notice what your belly's doing, how you're breathing. Just noticing. You don't have to change anything. And I'm going to say a word, and I want you to notice what your body feels like. And this word is yes. 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 Okay, so you're noticing what your body feels like when I say that word. Now, I'm going to say the next word, and I want you to notice any changes in your body. These are bound to be quite subtle, so I'm asking you to pay attention closely, okay? Here's the next word. No. 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 Okay. Notice the changes in your body. What happened there? Usually, people will feel a more pleasant sensation when they hear the word yes, and a more unpleasant sensation when they hear the word no. Sensation or sensations. That's just a taste, a small taste of what it's like to pay attention and access your intuition. It's quite subtle. And that's why getting silent, getting quiet is really important to this. The next exercise that I talk about is what I call the trying on the jeans technique. And I call this that because I happen to be quite short. I'm 5'1" and a half. I have to say the half part, of course. And so finding jeans for me is difficult. Usually there's like a gap in the back, or, they're fine on the waist, but way too tight on hips and thighs because I'm quite curvy. So when I go to a store in non-COVID times to try on some jeans, to really pick up like 5 pair because it's hard to find a good pair of jeans for me, I pull several styles, several colors, and bring them all with me in the changing room, and I try them on, obviously. Now, what intuition feels like is trying on a bunch of jeans and seeing which one fits well, because you'll get a feeling like the yes and no. You'll get a subtle feeling in your body when something is right or when it's not right, and it's very much like jeans. Now, here's the thing, because you put on a pair of jeans that you pull right up and you zip and you button, and they're just perfect. For me, they're usually still long, but if they fit everywhere else, shoot, I'll hem them. Who cares? And that's another perfect way to describe your intuition, is that it's often imperfect. Your left brain or your thinking brain still pops in. Yeah, that's dumb. Come on. Do you really think you're going to do that? Nah, that can't be right because the doctors say this and the stats say that and your friend did that and that worked for them. That's fine. You're still paying attention to your intuition. Okay, so it often feels completely imperfect. This is exactly what you need to do to begin trusting yourself, okay? Paying attention to what's within. And now the third exercise I talk about is the heart math. This is the quick coherence technique, and I've talked about this plenty of times. It's very quick, like 3 minutes. And getting into your heart space, and you'll hear that on previous podcast episodes, is extremely important for accessing your intuition. It really gets you out of your head. This exercise I call get into your heart, but it's technically called the quick coherence technique by the Heart Math Institute, because we are too much. We are in our heads too much. We are thinking, trying to figure out, doing our statistics, doing our graphing, doing our pros and cons lists. We are so in our heads. It's completely fine. We just need to balance it with getting in our hearts, okay? So this is a quick way to do that. Focus your attention on the area of your heart and imagine you can breathe from your heart space. Inhale and exhale in a rhythm that's comfortable for you, making the breaths long and slow. For example, inhaling for 5 and exhaling for 5 repetitively. You do that for about a minute, and the next part is to recall a pleasant memory. Now, this can be of someone you love, a favorite place, a pleasant interaction, a pet, or anything else that feels like appreciation, gratitude, or caring. And you continue this for about a minute or so, or longer if you want to. And that's it. That helps you get into your heart. Okay. The last thing that I'm going to mention here today is a fertility mantra, and then I want to address one more thing before we end. The fertility mantra. Now, you want to write this down and put it somewhere that you have access to every day, like on your bathroom mirror. Practice this mantra on body love for the next 10 days in the morning and in the evening. And Transcending Infertility is a 90-day program with 10 days for each fertility key. The mantra is breathing in, I am whole. Breathing out, my body is perfect exactly how it is. Breathing in, I trust my body to guide me. Breathing out, I can access and trust my intuition. And you repeat that 3 times. I'm not going to read the entire meditation from this book. If you would like that, certainly shoot me an email. I can send it to you. Or if you have purchased Transcending Infertility, look for the website, the very beginning of the book there. You can go to the website to pick up all of the meditations in this book for free. Okay, I want to address one more thing. Sure, I say, you start these things and you'll begin to access your intuition and you'll miraculously trust yourself. Yay! Okay, yes, it is miraculous. It's beautiful. It's wonderful. But you have to freaking start somewhere. Okay? What generally happens is that people discount their intuition, like I mentioned before. Is that true? Did that really happen? Nah, that can't be right. That's okay. The idea, though, is to bless those thoughts, remind yourself, or even talk to those thoughts. Hey, thank you for trying to keep me safe. I know that you're just trying to keep me reasonable and safe and grounded. I appreciate you, brain. Right now, I'm learning to access my intuition. And intuition is outside of the brain. It is not filtered by the brain. So, thank those thoughts. Thank your thinking mind. Thank you for trying to keep me safe. And then you re-access your intuition. You feel into your body again, and you practice maybe that small exercise. Yes, yes, yes. No, no, no. To connect with what it feels like to have that subtle difference in your body, okay? When you've been burned a lot, when you've suffered trauma like fertility issues leads to, your thinking mind will come in. It's doing its job. That's a beautiful thing. It's a gorgeous thing. So I think it's very important to acknowledge that your brain is doing its job. You say thank you, and you say, I'm safe actually right now, brain. Thank you very much. Then I'm still going to play over here with some intuition. Okay, so I don't want to just slide over that idea that you're not going to have thoughts pop in that say this is stupid or this is dumb or this doesn't work, because you are going to. You're supposed to, because of what you've been through. So yes, it's that much harder when you've been through hell to trust your own intuition, to trust yourself. But when you do, miracles are on their way, man. Oh my God. It's absolutely amazing what can happen and what you can do. And you don't even know how powerful you are with just accessing that subtle part of you. And then, interestingly, when you begin to trust yourself more, you begin to trust other people more, because you really don't even need them to do the things that they say they're going to do, because you will trust that you'll know what to do. It's really amazing. And that's just, again, one of the many, many, many miracles that I like to address. That's why I call my business Miracles Happen, and this podcast Miracles Happen, because they do. They do. And it's not just having a baby. It's everything surrounding this process. Okay. My thoughts are with you always. And I am hoping that you begin to access your intuition. I truly hope that you begin to trust you, that you begin to trust yourself so that you can trust other people and you can trust this whole process. And that is my dog, Jake, licking in the background. Wonderful. Gosh, it's quite loud on these from this microphone. Okay. Wishing you well. As always, I'm thinking of you, and happy June 2021. Or if you're listening to this in the future, happy future, wherever you are. And Until next time, my friend, be well.